Chicken and black bean sauce is something that we've all probably eaten 100 times, but we've never bothered to make. I'm going to dispel all the myths now and make it with some very simple ingredients really, really fast. So the first thing we need to do is dice up our chicken. Using a sharp knife, try and cut it into even-sized pieces, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to sort of shallow fry it and get it really nice and crispy. And to get that even crispness all over, we really want uniform sized pieces of chicken. Once our chicken is diced, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to toss it in a little bit of corn flour. I've got corn flour in here, and what that's going to do is it's really going to help us crispen it up when it hits that oil. So in it goes. I've also seasoned that corn flour with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now I'm also going to add in a little bit of rice wine vinegar. If you don't have that, don't worry, you could always use like a little sherry vinegar, or just to give it that little tart flavour. And a little soy sauce. Now, making sure your hands are really nice and clean, in you go. Just make sure that corn flour is evenly coated all over the chicken. So, that's been mixed up. I'm going to set it to one side and we can heat up our wok and start cooking it. In goes the oil. Really generous with that oil. We're actually going to sort of halfway between shallow fry and deep fry this chicken and get it really, really nice and crispy. Now you can see that temperature starting to come up. There's a little bit of smoke. Really, really important that you get an incredibly hot temperature here. Cooking in a wok is all about cooking really, really fast. So being careful to pour the chicken in away from you so the oil doesn't splash up and hit you. In it goes. Straight away, you'll want to start moving that around. Just making sure that none of it is sticking to the bottom, and then you can just let it sit for a few seconds as it starts to crisp up. Every 10-20 seconds, just move it, just to ensure that it doesn't stick too much. Now, we don't need to worry about cooking this 100%. We're just looking for the crispy exterior at the moment. And we're going to take it out and straight onto a plate, which I've got with some kitchen towel on it already. The reason we're doing that is we just want to get rid of any of that excess fat and oil that we had in there. We're just going to leave that chicken to one side, and while that wok cools down, we're going to go and prep our ingredients for that lovely black bean sauce. I'm going to return the wok to a nice high temperature. In that wok are all those caramelized little pieces of chicken. That's going to add great flavor to the black bean sauce. So once it comes up to temperature, nice hot temperature again, in goes the diced garlic, the diced ginger, and the red onions. Now, we're working at a high temperature, so we want to constantly move those around. Using the wooden spoon, you can actually just sort of feel for those little bits of chicken that are stuck and just scrape them off the bottom. Can't emphasize enough how much flavor those are going to bring to the sauce. Now, once you see the ginger, the garlic, and the onions starting to soften up, that's the time for your black beans to go. I'm using fermented black beans. They've come out of a can. You could easily use fresh beans, soak them overnight and cook them. But this whole dish is about simplicity, cooking it really, really fast. So, tossing those around. Gorgeous aromas coming off the garlic and the ginger already. Now, once those start to soften up, goes in chicken stock. The last thing I'm going to add into that sauce is a little bit of soy sauce. That does two things. It gives it a little bit of depth of color that we associate with black bean sauce, and it enhances the flavor even further. Now, we're really quickly going to reduce that sauce down. It's on a really high temperature. So as it reduces down, I'm going to go back to my chicken. Now don't forget, this isn't 100% cooked. It's still warm, so it just goes into the sauce. And we just want to bring it back up to temperature, cook it through, and ensure that it stays nice and crispy. So, using the wooden spoon, toss it through, and you can see that sauce starting to come together. At this stage, it's just a tiny little bit watery, but what will happen is it'll naturally start to thicken up. After about 4 or 5 minutes, that's reduced to perfection. The way to tell if it's actually properly reduced, just think of black bean sauce that you've seen in restaurants, that you've made at home out of jars. It looks exactly like it does now. Okay, just one last finishing touch. Got some fresh spinach, washed it off, very roughly chopped. I'm just gonna sprinkle that through. Now you don't need any heat whatsoever to cook that spinach, and it's gonna add some beautiful color and also helps you get all those daily veg in there. Looking absolutely fantastic. Now to serve this up, just a simple little bit of rice. And then next goes your black bean sauce. You can see that chicken is absolutely perfectly cooked. I think you'll have to agree that that is an absolutely delicious black bean sauce.